Good evening, everybody. Welcome. Oh, yeah, I shut that music off really quickly. Welcome, everybody, to this week's Game of Thrones recap, Season 4, Episode 6, The Laws of Gods and Men. I'm Phil, the Issues Guy. I also borrowed a ton of money off the Bank of Bravos, and they're thinking about funding competing podcasts, but I'm not quite sure. And I was riding the back of a dragon, killing little children all over the place, man. Oh, God.
I don't think it killed it, and they spared the child's life. It knows the difference between human and animal.
Are we sure about that? I thought the child got killed. Didn't he bring the remains of his child in there?
No, I think it went for the goat. It likes goat meat.
Yeah, it wasn't going for the kid, but I think the kid died in a collateral damage of the nuclear dinosaur, to steal a term from somebody else. Well, anyways, guys, I'm Phil, the Issues Guy. This is the post-episode issues. Welcome to the podcast. If this is your first time, please hit the subscribe button, and please comment away on what you thought of this week's episode of Game of Thrones or any of the stuff we have to say. Join in the fun. If you're in the chat room right now, join the discussion and pop on in. Tell us what you thought, and we'll try to get to your questions before the end of the broadcast. Huge show, a lot of amazing stuff happened tonight. Great Tyrion episode. We were hungry for Tyrion. I was also hungry for a little bit of Varys. It was also an amazing Varys episode. Lots of awesome shit happened. But I feel like it was almost like the stuff that happened at the very beginning of this episode. It was interesting from beginning to end, but I felt like it was all just the precursor, all just the appetizer for getting to Tyrion.
It was.
The episode was all about Tyrion.
It was. Everything before the trial was all kind of just filler.
Yeah. I mean, we did get to learn more about Dany's dragons and learn stuff about Stannis and stuff like that. But for the most part, it really, the stuff that really moved me and the stuff I couldn't get enough of in this episode was the Tyrion. It could have been a whole episode of that, a whole episode of the trial, and I would have been happy.
Yeah, I think they just had to remind us about Stannis's plight right now, where he stood, how much army he had left. You know, that's what the whole Stannis and Davos thing was about.
That being said, this was one of my favorite Stannis episode moments. Like, I enjoyed Stannis in this episode. I thought he was funny. I think when he's with Davos and away from the whole Melisandre and his family stuff, I like Stannis and Davos. They play, again, it's another one of these, an element that pops up a lot in Game of Thrones of an interesting pair. And him and Davos are just an amazing contrast, odd couple kind of relationship. You know,
well, this is also a big. This isn't something that is in the books, and this is something that, you know, is really humbling to Stannis. I mean, I don't see any of the other kings of Westeros going to the Iron Bank themselves all the way to Bravos and saying, "Give me money." Stannis is sitting in front of a triumvirate there at the table, begging them for cash, saying, you know, I'm going to win this war, and they kind of lay out the harsh reality to him that you have only 4,000 men, 32 ships, you got nothing.
Yeah, so we can get right into it, right to the Stannis part, and we'll get to our foreplay leading up to talking about the Tyrion trial. And we open to a boat sailing with ominous music, and Stannis and Davos and crew are sailing across the sea to Bravos. We see one of the giant statues, which is really cool, really awesome visual as they were approaching the city. It was really beautiful stuff, shot well, good CG or good whatever practical stuff that they were doing there. It looked awesome especially for an HBO show. Again, they're really getting the most out of their production dollar for this show. Now we get the feeling like Davos and Stannis have been waiting for a long time. They're sitting, waiting for the bankers, and they're just kind of like waiting for the cable guy to show up.
We don't just get the feeling. He comes straight out and says, "We've been waiting here half the day. We've been standing in this room waiting for them."
Yeah, and finally, after a long time, because Stannis he's been, like you said, been waiting there for midday. He can't just be sitting around here. This isn't the way things go. And Davos tries to tell him a story about how, well, people over here in Bravos, they look at time a little bit different. You know, I had a buddy, a farmer buddy, or whatever he was saying.
Salazar's on, the guy he goes and sees later. He's about to tell him some story of the times that they had together, or some misadventure doing something illegal, and he remembers who he's talking to. Again, Davos from the poor back alleys, never had anything, fully, you know, lifted himself up by his bootstraps to become a lord and hand to the king. You know, what's left of his hand to the king, as we saw.
Stannis didn't want to see it though. He gave him a look like, well, I don't want to hear your stupid story.
Yeah, and he knew he forgot who he was talking to for a second. You know, he was trying to calm him down. He's forgot he was talking to his king, not just another person that's going to be like, oh, you did illegal stuff.
But that's just the nature of Davos. He's just seems to be the type of guy that he's going to tell you like it is, whether you're a king or whether you're a peasant from Flea Bottom. He doesn't care. He's just gonna he's a straight shooter, as they say.
That's what Stannis likes about him.
Yeah, or it's probably why ultimately Stannis keeps him around, not just because Melisandre told him. I mean, it's got to be something like, oh, that guy I just hate that guy. But he keeps him around because he keeps him on his toes. So eventually, the bank guys from Bravos come out to face Stannis, and they're like, "Welcome to the Iron Bank. Please sit down." And Stannis looks apprehensive, kind of giving them the "Why the hell did you make me wait?" And they're like,
It's more than that. He's being told to sit. He's used to being on the other side of the table, telling people to sit down, not being told to sit down.
and that's when Davos reminds these guys of that. You're talking to the, and he gives them the whole line of this is the real king, and they're like, no, actually Tommen's in the king, and they're like, no, Tommen's a child of incest. He's a bastard of incest, and they're like, we heard the story, we don't care. Grandpa says that Grandpa Tywin says it's just a jealous uncle causing the kingdom money and blood when trying to take the throne, and then they're basically like, you got a claim, you say words like usurper and honor and why you deserve to be the king, but it doesn't really matter to us. All that matters to us is money. It's almost like Watto from
The numbers.
yeah, all that matters is the money, Jedi. These guys are very Ferengi too. Like,
Right, I was just about to say that. I was just about to say
yeah,
that.
all they care about is the money. All they care, and they extend that to be like, the only thing that really matters, the only thing that tells the truth is the money. Everyone has a story. The numbers don't lie, and I think that's the biggest thing we can learn from these guys, the Bank of Bravos guys, that all they care about is the numbers. And they say, listen, Stannis, kind of what Joe was referring to earlier, you have 4,000 men, 32 boats, since you got your ass kicked in the Blackwater. Now, how do you feed those guys? How do you guys make money? It suddenly turns into an episode of Shark Tank, and one of the guys are like, no, how are you going to pay us back this money we're going to give you?
It's exactly what it was.
We're going to make our profit. Sorry, I'm out. and that's basically what they say. We're out.
Yeah, and then Davos stands up and hands him that big speech, shows off his little nubs,
Yeah.
and he may not have it now, but he will pay it back.
Stannis pays his debts. He's the one honorable man left in the world.
Yeah.
Do you buy that? Is Stannis the one honorable man left in the world?
Not since he slept with Melisandre. I mean, obviously his wife doesn't care that he slept with Melisandre, or wouldn't care the way she creams after Melisandre herself, but
She wishes Melisandre would give her some.
yeah, and then that's true too. He also burned, his wife's uncle at the stake, and he hasn't been acting too honorable lately.
How's he compared to honor to someone like Jon Snow? Isn't Jon Snow the most honorable man around right now?
Yeah.
When we say Jon Snow's whatever, but he's the bastard son of Ned Stark, so no one gives a shit about it.
Trying to think of who else might be as honorable, and the only other person that really comes to mind is like Tyrion.
Yeah, maybe. So Davos basically says what Joe was saying there. He says Stannis pays his debts, and he's your only real chance. Listen, how old is you're relying on Tywin Lannister here. How old's Tywin Lannister? I think he said 62 or something like that. And he's like, Tywin Lannister, when he's gone, what are you gonna get? What do you have left there? You got a king that's like 6 years old. No, that's like 13 years old in this world. You have a dumbass in Cersei that doesn't know shit, and then you have the Kingslayer, another dumbass. What are you gonna do? Stannis is the only man you can count on, and I see his point there. Davos is making a very good point there, because really, what are they gonna lean on once Tywin's gone?
Okay, now that being said, people do live older than 62. Look at the Meisters, Meister Aegon and Meister Dickwad in King's Landing. People do live pretty old, and Tywin can go back to Lannisport or relax in King's Landing for a while if the bank doesn't continue to fund Stannis.
Yeah.
You know, like they're hedging both sides of the bet here because they know that if Stannis does take the throne, it's the throne that owes all that money still too. So Stannis's debt is going to be twice what it is, not just the money he borrowed, but the money that his bastard nephews owe to the bank already.
Where's the profit? Where's the profit? The Sharks aren't making any profit here, so
Oh,
sorry.
they're going to make plenty of profit out of this. They win either way, you know.
The bank always wins, is what it comes down to.
And what it also does is it furthers the war. It furthers Tywin losing more troops if this war continues. Also, weakening the throne, making it less likely that they'll be able to turn around and say, you know, screw you, Bravos. We're going to invade and burn the city, so we don't have to pay you back.
So after this, we go to a bathhouse and we get our nudes for the night. our obligatory, we need some nude people on Game of Thrones.
Lots of titties.
Yeah, we needed it. And we get the man that Davos was talking about telling a story.
Oh, hold on. That being said, there hasn't been a lot of titties this season.
No, that's why they had to fit it in. They're like,
right. There hasn't been a whole lot. There's a couple of Oberon scenes, but you know, we needed some more.
yeah, they needed to throw it in. They're like, oh, you know what?
Dragons and boobies.
We need to throw in a few of those scenes. That's what the show's all about. That's what brings in the fans, people. Dragons and boobs here. That should be the underscore of the show. Game of Thrones, dragons and boobs.
Dragons and boobies.
So it's
Issues guy. Boobies and dragons are coming.
it's some girl telling a story, or this guy that Davos was talking about telling a story to some hookers, and it's a story that every pirate tells these girls. They know the story, and Davos walks in there and kind of blows up his spot, and basically just cons this guy or puts him up against a rock, against a hard place, and makes him join the Stannis' army as a.
We've seen this guy before. He was in last season, or at the beginning of the season. We see him. Stannis is making deals with him about when they win, how he'll be lavished with all this riches and wealth. And of course, they get slaughtered on the Blackwater. This guy Salazar, the pirate, he loses a bunch of his ships in the process and fleet. So he's trying to rebuild after that too, and he abandoned Stannis completely at that point. And he's been up in Bravos or wherever doing his pirate thing.
You're no friend of mine. You're no friend of mine, and that's basically what came of all of that.
If you're asking me to do more of this stuff, then you're not my friend.
Yep.
My friend wouldn't ask me to go do this foolish war.
And because ultimately, as smart as Davos is, and as much as he seems to be able to look at things legitimately, his best bet would be to get the hell out of there. Well, at this point, he's got to almost wipe his hands of Stannis at this point. I would think. I mean, I know he believes he's the rightful king and everything like that, and Stannis is. I guess Stannis has the most legitimate claim. If we want to look at this thing, if we want to cut through all the bullshit, Stannis is the Stannis and Dany have
well,
the.
Here's the thing about Stannis' rightful claim. He doesn't really have a rightful claim.
Who has the biggest claim? You say Dany?
I say Tommen. Because ultimately, there is no proof of the incest. It's only rumor. It's only conjecture. It's like the bank said, a jealous uncle taking it out, trying to win the throne for himself. That's what it's about. It's not. Ultimately, there is no proof. There's no DNA testing. There's no paternity test. Unless anybody goes and looks it up in these books, like Ned or supposedly Jon Arryn did to get himself killed, there's no proof. Tommen is the rightful heir. Period.
You know whose fault this is? This is Ned Stark's fault. He should have just told Robert on his deathbed, because Ned knew the truth, and Ned wanted to save Robert in those last moments of his life. Robert should have been using those last moments of his life to make sure each one of those children died a horrible death. I'm kidding, but you know what I mean. Those kids should have been long gone, and
Ned knew that that's what would have happened if he had told.
I know. That's my point. That's why Ned didn't do anything, because
he would have had Cersei. And then I gotta say this: how does nobody know? How did they they kept it that secret? You know, like they screw in Winterfell once and they get caught.
But you get the feeling like it isn't a secret. Everybody knows.
Well, I got a feeling at least Varys and Baelish should have known.
You get a feeling that they did. I mean, if this rumor is stretching all the way over to Bravos, where they know of this.
Well, no, no, no. At this point, there was already the note that went out to everybody.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Stannis wrote a big diatribe and sent it crows everywhere saying.
Yeah, it's already been posted on the Westeros Craigslist and stuff.
Right, right.
Yeah, everyone's read the message board. Yeah, the manifesto's been put out. It's out there. So let's get this part over with. We go to Theon's sister Yara reading Ramsay's letter, rereading Ramsay's letter about all the Ironborn scumbags can go back to blah 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 blah. And this whole part's counterbalanced with Ramsay having sex with some girl, and we get off to we finally get to see Theon Greyjoy, and Theon's he's sleeping with a dog. She gets there, her and her whole group of Ironborn, they storm the Dreadfort, and they're going to save Theon, and they get there and they ask, "Where's Theon?" But Theon's not in the dungeon. Nope, nope, nope. Reek is sleeping with the dogs. That's where he is. He's sleeping in the dog cage, and he sees them as she walks up to him, and he gets scared just like a dog. He backs off. He doesn't want to go with her. He thinks it's a trick. He starts barking at her. No, he's not Theon Greyjoy. He's Reek. My name's Reek. I've always been Reek, Joe. I've always been Reek.
He has always been Reek. But I gotta say this too, like as far as he's always been Reek, there was a pretty impassioned speech given by his sister after reading that letter and seeing the mutilated parts of her brother being sent in the mail. But I gotta say, the Ironborn, these Krakens, we shall not sow, there are a bunch of whipping stones. Oh my God! The whole lot of them can't do anything right.
No, they're horrible.
Right down from Balon Greyjoy's failed rebellion against Robert and Ned to the son's fuck up of a whatever he did in Winterfell that caused that to get burned down, betraying right down to this scene here.
They're the Washington Generals of Westeros. They're the guys that the Globetrotters everybody beats the crap out of them.
Oh, it's awful, and they think they're so tough and badass, and these like natural-born pirates that are all about the Iron Islands, and it's horse crap. They raid little villages along the coastline where there are no soldiers, and as soon as there are soldiers, they get their asses handed to them repeatedly.
In fairness, though, Yara kicks some ass. She's pretty tough. She takes down a bunch of them, a bunch of Bolton men. She whips some ass. And Ramsay and the Ironborn, they face off, but Ramsay's just insane. He's jumping around there like George the Animal Steel around the ring.
His shirt's off. Everybody else is in armor, and he's just dancing around, stabbing people with his axe and knife or double dagger or whatever it was.
Yeah, good day. Yeah, he's psyched. He's so happy, this guy. He's got Klingon blood inside him. He's feeling bloodlust.
And while this is all going on, Theon, the little friggin' reek, is just begging to get back in his cage. Let me go, let me go, let me go. And when he finally does break loose, he jumps right back in his cage and cowers.
He bites her hand and he cowers back in his cage. Yeah. And she says, let my brother go. And she says, oh, you're his brother. You have bigger balls than he ever did. and you ask, basically says to him, you ask him, does he want to go? And she looks at him and just kind of notices that he doesn't want to go. And he goes to unlock all the dogs to charge at the remaining Ironborn there. And they just get out of there. And she says her brother is dead. Her brother's gone.
Yep.
She gives up. And she gives up again. She gives up. She was right there. Again, come on. If she really wanted to just grab him and take him, just put a cloak over his head and reprogram him. Theon doesn't seem like the type of guy that has a lot of a mind of his own. Whoever he's around, he's going to become like. He's around the Starks. He talks about honor. He's on his own around the Greyjoys. He becomes like an asshole that has to go and try to sack Winterfell. And he's with Ramsay. He becomes Ramsay's little bitch boy. And if he went back to he's just
a social chameleon.
He's easily programmable. He's not the brightest bulb in Westeros.
He did a good job. He did a real good job. I wish I could remember his name right now, the actor's name, but he's doing a fabulous job in this role.
This was the best episode he's ever acted in because he really played I feel like in our other performances, our other times bumping into Theon tonight, or Theon or Reek since the transformation hasn't been as clear as it was tonight. I mean,
it's perfectly clear now. Theon Greyjoy does not exist anymore. He is Reek. He's not Theon Greyjoy. And when he gets his reward in the next scene.
yeah, so Reek and Ramsay in the next scene, and he says, "I have a gift for you because when those creatures came to get you, you didn't want to go." He's like, "No, I didn't want to go. I was scared. Yes, yes." And he got him a prize, and the
I
prize.
remember, I've always been Reek.
I've always been Reek again. Yeah, he got him a prize, and the prize that he got him was a bath. He's gonna take a bath, and Theon goes and he takes off his clothes, and right when he takes off his pants, uh, just the look on Ramsay's
He
face,
stares right down at the mutilated cock.
big smile like this, like the Joker smile. Like this guy would play a good Joker. He has that kind of smile. Could see him in a future.
I gotta say, have you seen the meme that's going around the internet with it says it's got I lost my hand and it shows a picture of it's a comparison between Star Wars and Game of Thrones.
Oh yeah, I have seen it. Yeah, you lost your father. I lost my ball. Something like that.
Yeah, no, I lost my hand. It says to Anakin. And then it's like I lost my hand. It shows Luke, and then it shows I lost my hand, and it shows Jamie, and then it shows just Theon with a.
Yeah, underneath the three of them with the.
And it shows Ramsay shaking the sausage. Oh.
So Ramsay gets in the bath and Ramsay like bathes him, treats him really like his pet. Ramsay asks him if he loves him. Do you love me, Theon? It was a real warm scene. He treats that dog good. He treats that dog better than his other dogs. I bet he doesn't bathe his other dogs like that.
Oh, that is absolutely his favorite pet.
Yeah, that's Lassie. I mean, Theon is Lassie.
He's going to get him to do all sorts of great tricks.
Yeah, Ramsay's stuck in a well here. And he says, listen, Ramsay's stuck in a well here, Theon. I mean, Reek, I need you to play a character. He's going
to teach him a new trick.
I need you to go take a castle for me. You know how to fight. Go take a castle for me. We're going to clean you all up, and you're going to play a part. You're going to play the part of Theon Greyjoy. Do we know what castle he's talking about yet? No, I don't think so. We don't know yet.
I think it's up north, the one that Asha had taken at the start of this whole thing.
Mm-hmm. Or I don't want to say anything because I have a feeling I think I might know who it is, but I don't want to risk it being a spoiler. So after this scene, we go to the goats, and we see goats, and we see a little boy. We'll talk after the episode, Joe. We see goats and a little boy. This little boy doesn't seem like the nicest guy. He's throwing rocks at the goats, and he's throwing rocks at his dad or whatever. You know, this kid. I was wondering what we're doing with this kid.
Was that now? I thought that was at the beginning of the episode.
No, this was right after the Theon stuff.
That's all I could. Everything. Oh wow.
That's because everything that happened before this point in this episode...
kind of just disappeared once this happened.
Because from this point on, the episode, shit got real.
Yeah, that was... people have been begging. Where are the dragons?
Where are the dragons?
Where are the dragons?
Okay, you want to know where the dragons have been? They've been killing goats and whoever else are around the goats. Because I'm pretty sure, like, I could be corrected. Please correct me in the comment section. I know you guys will.
Oh, no. The dragon thing did happen at the beginning. This is with Daenerys now. The guy comes in.
No, this is the dragon to the goats. The boys throwing rocks at the goats. And the dragon shows up and burns the farm down and takes the sheep. And like I said, guess we know where the dragons. And right after this, we go to the Tower of Meereen, where we see that Daenerys has another new title. She's Queen of Meereen now too, to go with the rest of the list of her names.
Yeah, well, this was great too because we heard a lot of people with a lot of titles and a lot of the same titles getting put upon everybody.
Yeah,
like, King of the Andals was given to Daenerys, was given to Tommen a little later, and was given to Stannis while he was at the Iron Bank. You know, just to show us still that they're still all claiming this crown.
So the guy whose farm got destroyed comes and presents what I thought, and this is where I can be corrected in the comment section. I'm pretty sure he presented what was left of his child right there and said, "The dragons came for my sheep and killed my child. I'm not offended, but now I have nothing left." And and whether it was just the sheep or anything, the point of this scene is she gives him 3 times the worth of his sheep, and he seems really excited. Son dying or not.
And, yeah, no, that's why the son didn't die. 'Cause you can't. There's no 3 times the worth of my child.
Okay, I'll watch that. I'll hold that off for my rewatch. And what some of the people in the comments have to say, because I read that scene that he said his son died, and I actually rewinded it once a little bit, and I'm pretty sure he said this is what's left of my son, but I could be wrong. So she says send in the next one, and it's this guy Hizadar, I think his name was, and he asks to talk to her, and or his servant asks or kind of introduces him, and Dany goes, well, why can't he talk for himself? She just starts preying on this guy, and this guy basically is asking one of the nobles that were killed by her when she comes in to the ones that were put on spikes in front of everybody. One of them, this guy's father, was the head of the cultural committee of Marine, and he was actually against what they did to the slave kids, apparently, according to his son.
He said that the dad called it an illegal act.
An illegal act, and he was really pissed, and he seemed to be really pissed off at Dany, and Dany was kind of giving him some shit back and forth, and he's just like, can I take my dad off, and can I go bury him so he can face some solace in this life for the next life, please?
Yeah, this character's really good in the books too. This guy's a real slick talker. You know, he talks a good game, but he's into some sick shit too.
Yeah, and I think you get the feeling that he's a slick talker because of just the way he ends up basically getting what he wants here. And I think it's
kinda. He at one point he asks for all 162 or 63 of them to be taken down. They're still rotting. They're still carrying on the spikes along the out in the court or whatever. He wants them all to be taken down and given a good burial. But I'm pretty sure she only gives permission for him to take just his dad down.
I think one interesting line that he says to her that kind of, or how would you feel to see something like that happen to your family? How would you like to see your family be thrown around or horrible things happen? And she knows that. She saw her father die, or no, she wasn't alive when her father died.
Her brother.
Her brother. She saw her brother die, and she at least heard the legends of what in her mind Robert did to her father.
What Robert did to her brother.
To her brother. So
what Jamie did to her father, what Robert did to her brother.
Her brother. I just mean by rebelling in general.
What the Mountain did to her niece and nephew.
Yeah. So
Viserys told her all of those stories constantly.
Okay, so after this point, she sends this guy out, and says he can have his father, and she says, well, how many more do we have? Kind of like Don Corleone at his daughter's wedding. She's just sitting there. She wants to know how many more people she needs to talk to learn how to govern. How many more, Joe? In 2012, more people waiting to talk to the Queen today. And she just says, almost like a comedy movie, next. And we just get the feeling like this is
going to be a long, long day.
Yeah, and is this just going to be Dany for the rest of the year, or is she just going to be sitting on that throne dealing with those 212? It's like when Jim Carrey became God, and he has to answer all the emails from people's wishes and stuff.
Well, she's got a little bit of a problem. She just sent one of the first ones, the guy with the sheep. He says, "Oh, the dragons burned my sheep." She says, "Okay, triple the damages." He probably ran outside, cheering his little bean off. Triple damages. You're gonna imagine all the people that are gonna come in now and claim that so much more destruction and beg for so much more to hope to get now.
Yeah, people
just opened a can of worms.
People are gonna burn down their own livestock just to get money from Daenerys.
Well, it's an expensive precedent. That's all.
So after all of this, and the Daenerys stuff was interesting, just because she's putting herself through the paces of learning how to rule.
Yeah.
She's running for college president of the council before she runs for real office there.
Student council president.
Yeah, student council president here in Marine, and she's going to do a good job at student council president here. But we didn't get any. We did get to see Barristan, and we did get to see Jorah, but we did not get to see any Daario or Grey Worm tonight. And here we go to here.
Well, I think we didn't get any Dario or Grey Worm, partly because we got that guy that came in to beg for his dad to come off the spike. He's going to be he's going to have a larger role coming up. So I think they were trying to reduce the amount of faces around Daenerys for the moment to introduce him.
And I have to thank the show because I don't like the casting of new Dario, keeping Dario out of there. You know, keeping the new Dario at a minimum so far. I'm happy about that because of the googly eyes that him and Dany have been sending back and forth.
But he should be doing that with the old Dario. What is it with the new Dario that you don't like?
I feel like they don't have chemistry yet. I don't buy it. I don't want to get this into it. We could do a whole podcast on what I don't like about
See, I didn't like the new casting of the new Mountain. When they recast the Mountain, I was very upset about that. And then I didn't mind so much by the end of it. But now I think I hear that they've recasted the Mountain a third time.
Maybe we'll see if because I'm sure I'm hoping we get to see the Mountain at some point this season. So we'll see about that. So we go to what comes to my favorite section of this episode. I honestly think this little scene here might have been my favorite part of the whole episode, next to the trial at the end. The new small console. The Red Viper's there. He's complaining that all the meeting's going to be this early because we know he's been out late night having fun. He doesn't want to get up early in the morning. And he goes, does this mean I'm the master of something? Am I the master of the coin? Am I the master of ship? Am I the master baiter? What am I the master of something going on here? and Lord Tyrell, Mace Tyrell's, oh no, Tywin said I'm already the master of yada yada yada. So we get a feeling like Mace Tyrell kisses Tywin's ass big.
Yeah, he does.
Big
he
time.
Absolutely does. His mother, we've met her. She's the one that killed Joffrey.
Mm-hmm.
She's the real brains behind the whole operation.
He just seems like a big dumbass.
And he is a big dumbass, and we're gonna have the feeling, or at least I'm getting the feeling, that even though he knows that, I can't remember what the lady's name is. Character's name is, but she's in charge. But
Lady Elena
whispers in his ear and gets him to do a lot of what he wants him to do as well.
Yeah, he's just a puppet between Tywin and Lady Olenna. So Tywin already decided, I'm the master. So Tywin says the trial needs to begin, and this is when finally we get some Varys. Varys basically is on top of it all. He knows what Littlefinger's been up to. He doesn't say anything about Littlefinger directly, but he knows where Sansa is. He says that Sansa is at the was seen near the Eyrie, and he also talks about the Hound killing soldiers, what we saw about the Hound soldiers, and something about fucking the Freys men. And Tywin says, send 100 soldiers to the area. No worry about that. Just send 100 soldiers to the area. That should be enough to check it out. And then Varys gets into telling them everything about Dany. She has 3 dragons. She has 9,000 soldiers. She has the Second Sons. She has 3 dragons. And Cersei seems to be the one that is like, she's a child. What she can do with baby dragons? They can't do anything. You don't
bigger every year.
Bigger every year. And he goes on. He's like, and she has 2 knights at her council. She has Lord Jorah, and she has Barristan.
Well, and they kind of dismissed Jorah, of course.
But Barristan, they're like, Cersei's like, he's just an old man, and Tywin's like, no, Joffrey wasn't dumbass for what he did there. Joffrey never should have sent him away. He's a badass. Everybody knows he's a badass. He's going to be a badass till the day he dies. Haven't you seen Mr. Miyagi or Splinter from Ninja Turtles? The old men that know how to fight can fight till the day they die.
Barristan Selmy said it himself. There's nobody better at single combat than him. He's never lost.
It would be interesting to see Jaime at his best, at his prime, versus Barristan as prime.
Barristan Selmy would spank him.
Spank him, you think?
Spank him.
Spank him. Okay.
Spank him.
So Cersei, I just want to tell Cersei to shut the hell up in this whole.
Barristan Badass Selmy. That's the MMA name he goes by.
Now Red Viper busts in here and says the Unsullied aren't to be trifled with. You need to watch out for these guys. These guys are badasses. They can kick some ass. And then Tywin steps up right away and says, "Listen, guys, dragons are dangerous. I know. Dragons are freaking dangerous. This needs to be dealt with." And then he goes, Mace Tyrell, go get me my pad and go get me my coffee and my piss pot. Piss boy, get over here. And and he talks about and starts to get into probably whatever his plan is to deal with Dany. I wonder if that's going to pan out by the end of the year, whatever Tywin is planning to do about the Daenerys situation. I always love when these two stories cross over, when we have King's Landing stuff interacting with Daenerys stuff. And I think it makes a lot of people happy because I think a lot of people really want her to cross over to Westeros already.
Yeah, they do.
So we get
I know. I've been waiting for it since the day they poured that gold on her friggin' brother's head.
Yeah, the crown. So we go to a shot of the throne with Varys and the Red Viper, and Red Viper calls him Lord, and he's like, "No, don't call me Lord. There's no Lord," and he's like, "There's no lords where I'm from either." And he's like, "How do you know about the Unsullied?" Red Viper's like, "I like to travel. I like to get around." And it's just Varys kind of it's both of them just sizing up each other, seeing where each other's at, and at this point, seeing if they're allies, seeing if they're enemies. That seems to just be the whole thing. And he asks Varys if Varys is into boys, and Varys is like, "No, never into boys, never into girls either." And I find that wants cloud people's vision from what really they should strive for. And then he
opens up time to strive for more than just your desires of flesh. Less distractions.
Less distractions. Then he looks at the Iron Throne. So Varys?
He is asked straight out, and what is it you do desire then? And that's when he glances back at over the shoulder at the Iron Throne. So very telling. I don't know if he wants it for himself.
That's what I was saying. Is Varys and Littlefinger both sides of the same coin? Do they both want it all and stop at nothing? It's Varys showed himself very interesting. He has some other agenda that's going on that we don't know about. There's some things going on here, and we also found out in the little console scene, a small console scene. I forgot to mention that we found out that Jorah obviously was working for him at some point in time, but if we need any more verification that Jorah stopped doing that. He's completely loyal to Daenerys now. They did say that. They made sure they said that at that point. I thought that was interesting that they specifically made that point right there.
Yeah. To
remind you of that.
Yeah.
I feel like that might pay off later.
Yeah, that'll pay off later.
So we go to Jaime, and Jaime is sitting outside the door of, you don't know what it is right away, but you can pretty much tell it is the dungeon. And he opens the door, and it's Tyrion, and Tyrion straight right away.
Like, you're letting me go?
Yeah, let me think. Let me guess. I'm being paroled. Really?
Pardon.
Yeah, and they put him in chains, and Tyrion's like, "Really? You're really worried about me?" He's like, "Father."
With my 12-inch stride at full run.
Father's orders. Well, if Father says so, then let's do it. And they march him in, and then someone from the back, like the crowd heckling him, someone from the back yells Kingslayer. How do you think Jaime felt about that?
I know, right? The Kingslayer brothers.
Jaime's like, "Hey, man, come on, I'm right here. Could you wait for me not to be in the room?"
In this corner, the Slayer brothers.
And we see Tommen on the throne with Tywin right next to him, and Tyrion takes the cuffs off, and he goes in to stand trial. And Tommen gives him, "I'm Tommen of the House Baratheon, blah, blah, blah."
Same exact speech that Davos said about Stannis.
Yeah, and he recuses himself from the trial, and he's going to leave his father, Hand of the King, in charge, as along with Mace Tyrell and the Red Viper over there, and he doesn't look too happy about this whole situation. Again, he seems like a really good kid. I think he really loves his uncle.
I kind of expected him to go up to his uncle there and tell him that, or tell him that he loved him more.
I think he did with his eye. Tyrion's smart enough to read into his little nephew's face and how sad he looked in that moment. Like, you felt bad. It was almost like Sir Pounce, was sick in the tummy, had a fur ball, and he just seemed so sad. Oh, Sir Pounce.
Did you see Tywin, though? Right then he glanced back at the throne. He couldn't wait to sit his ass in it. Yeah. He looked so comfortable in there, too.
And then we get Cersei chopping at the bit. She can't wait to get to him. Oh, I'm gonna have me some dwarf meat tonight. And yeah, Tywin takes the throne. Did you kill Joffrey? No. Did Sansa kill Joffrey? No. How
Not
did
that I know of.
Yeah, not that I know of. How did he die? Well, he choked on a pigeon pie. Do you think the bakers did it? Well, maybe the bakers or the pigeons.
One or the other.
Just leave me the hell out of it. And they call a witness, the former, I don't know this guy's name, but he was the guy that was the head of the King's Guard before Jaime got back.
Mirren Trent.
Meryn
He's
Trent.
the one. He's the one that they talked about last week. That
Arya.
Yep. That
Arya.
that killed
Oh.
Syrio Forel.
I don't recognize this guy because he was played by a different actor in season 1, right?
Maybe.
I
I
think
think it's the same guy.
Well, I'll check on that.
Yeah.
And so he basically says everything that Tyrion said about Joffrey. He reports the truth that Tyrion many times called out Joffrey for being an idiot.
Well, the funny thing here is all the way up until all the witnesses that are called, all the way up until we get to Shay, it's all the truth.
Yeah.
There's nothing embellished. And most of the stuff that Shay says isn't embellished either.
No, it's just phrased from a certain angle.
Right. And she does lie about a couple of things, which, of course,
Yeah, we'll
make the
get to that.
embellishing that much worse.
So he starts saying all these things that Tyrion said about Joffrey, and he's like, why don't you? And Tyrion stops him and goes, why don't you say what Joffrey was doing at this time? He had a bow and arrow to Sansa's head, and Sansa's head.
You were beating her.
He was beating her. He had some small animals he was torturing at the same time. He had a small dire wolf that he was penetrating.
Carrot and Sir Pounce's ass.
Yeah, exactly. He was doing. Do we realize what kind of person this was? And here, speaking of what kind of person he was, we go to Pyzel. This stuff was hilarious. So Pyzel, who's the slimiest son of a bitch on the planet. We've missed a little bit of him this season. He plays this
Meg-covered scrotum. He is.
Yeah, he just says Tyrion stole the poison. The poison, Red Viper. Yeah, you made your point. You have a lot of poisons.
Yeah,
And,
Oberon is just kind of. He's sitting there this whole time. Oberon is just like he's sitting there acting like it's the farce that it is.
the funniest part of this was because I could just go over what Pyzel said, but basically he just talks about the kind of poison that was used, backs up Littlefinger's story of how it was planted. They found the knight, the jester knight guy, and the poison. They found the really horrible poison.
The necklace, traces of it on the necklace.
And Pyzel says that Tyrion should be punished because he murdered the most noble child that the gods ever put onto this earth. He's talking about Joffrey, and you can almost hear everyone in the room laugh. Even Tywin almost goes, "This guy's such bullshit."
Quite a bit over the top.
Speaking of bullshit, Cersei comes up there, and she says that story again that she holds on to, that Tyrion said he'll get her one day, and she'll know it when she's gone.
My joy will turn to ashes in my mouth.
Yeah, and at this point is when the gears. I mean, Jaime's a smart guy, but he's not the brightest bulb in the sky either. So right now is when Jaime finally starts just like being like, I'm done with this shit. This is just the biggest bullshit trial I've ever seen in my life. This is horrible. This is really bad. And you can just see the look at his face. He knows his sister well. He knows she planned everything that's happening in this trial. She planned. It just stinks of her. And so Cersei gives her a little speech, and then Mr. Varys comes up there, and he confirms some more of the things. And he really knows how to play the game. The spider knows how to survive, knows how to hook into the right situation, and no matter what he does, he'll find a way to survive. And he talks about how just that there was a witness, and talks about how about how Sansa became more sympathetic of a figure, that because he fell in love with her, Tyrion became more sympathetic of the North's plight, and Tyrion goes, wait a second, Varys, I have one question for you. Father, can I ask Varys one question? You once said that the city would face certain defeat and history would never mention me. Have you forgotten about me? And Varys replies, sadly, my lord, I don't forget about anything. It was an interesting line, especially for Varys to admit in public like that. So he does he basically said to the court right there, yes, Tyrion did save the city. And it's just interesting that he would put himself out like that for Tyrion right there. I thought that was an interesting moment.
I'd have to do a complete rewatch, but I'm sure he's referring to more than just that to Tyrion. I think he's referring to one of the conversations they had somewhere along the line, more than just that part, or maybe it was even that conversation, but more than just that part of the conversation. I really think Varys is referring to something more than that.
Mm-hmm.
And I really believe him when he says that he forgets nothing.
Yeah,
I believe that he's got some sort of photographic kind of memory where he just doesn't, whatever didactic, whatever the frick it is, memory where he doesn't forget anything.
I would not want to play poker against this guy. He's going to remember every single one of your moves and motions and every hand and every tell. And Jamie at this point's had enough because he can read right through this bullshit. And Jamie
everybody can. There's not a single soul on, as Pycelle put it, this God's good earth that doesn't see what bullcrap this whole thing is to begin with. So it really is laughable. It's actually very laughable.
So Jamie goes in and talks to Tywin and goes, you're gonna condemn my own brother to death. This is not a trial. This is a joke. Cersei did all this. And Tywin goes, he killed the king. And Jamie interrupts him. I killed the king. And I killed the king.
He doesn't say no. He didn't kill the king either, though. He doesn't and I think he does believe that Tyrion did not kill the king, but he doesn't argue that against to Tywin. He doesn't argue the point.
And this is where I think Jamie overplayed his, or to quote the episode.
Of course he did, because
he overplayed his hand.
Tywin says straight out, we're not going to kill him. He's going to get his just punishment.
He even interrupts him when Jamie goes, he'll be killed. And he goes, no, just punishment. And then Jamie was stupid here. Jamie offered up way too much here. Like
Tywin was psyched. It was like watching the cartoons. No, yes, no, yes, no, yes, yes, no. Oh!
It's like Jamie's not even playing the same game. It's like a different sport.
Right? Jamie almost is like, oh, I did it. I
think Jamie might think for a second that he beat Tywin there.
He does think it.
I got what I wanted. Yes.
And Tywin's just sitting there going, what a joke.
So Jamie offers up, Jamie completely ignores basically Tywin giving him the biggest wink wink nudge nudge ever in the world. Don't worry, he's not dying, to say, listen, father, I'll give you everything you want. What about you once said to me family was the most important thing. If Tyrion dies, he's not going to die. If Tyrion dies, you'll lose everything. How about this? How about I leave the Kingsguard and go to Casterly Rock and become your heir?
Give you your heirs. Who's it going to be otherwise? One of my cousin, the other Lannister that was screwing Cersei.
Tyrell Lannister? No, what the hell was his name? Oh, I forget his name.
We even have a comment thread about it from one of our other casts too. But
Lancel Lannister.
Lancel. Yeah. Who's it going to be? Lancel Lannister or some other Tywin we don't even remember the name? Tywin cousin we don't even remember the name of?
You don't even remember the name of? So Jamie goes, I will leave the Kingsguard if you promise me Tyrion will live. And Tywin's like, doesn't even wait a sec. He's like, really? Yep. Okay. And Jamie's like, yes! Wait.
Tywin jumps on, he's like, deal!
Oh shit! And then Tywin's like, "Yep, your brother's gonna call for mercy at one point in time, and I'm gonna send him to the Black." And he doesn't really say, "I was gonna do this the whole time," but he
wants to. You can see it in his face. He wants to. He goes, "You idiot!
Yeah,
I told you we were going to do that 5 seconds ago."
Are you really my son, Jamie? Are you really this big of a dumbass? It's that moment where he's like, "Thank God I have Tyrion." Tyrion would be able to figure this out. For the first time in his life, he's glad Tyrion's his son right there. He's like, at least one of my kids isn't a dumbass. He's like Red Foreman right there. Shut up, you dumbass. So Jamie brings Tyrion aside, and before the trial starts again, he goes, "You're going to be found guilty. No more shit. Be quiet. And when it gets to the point in the end of the trial, beg for mercy, and Dad will let you go to the Wall." And Tyrion goes, "Well, I don't buy this. I don't think this will really happen."
That's what they said for Ned.
That's what they said for Ned Stark. And he goes, "Listen, Dad's not Joffrey." And this is a fair point. it, Tywin will. I don't think Tywin would screw Jamie in this situation. He already screwed Jamie over. He's got
Well,
everything he wants there.
Tywin didn't just throw Tyrion into the ocean when he was a baby, so
And that's what I was saying last week too. It seems to me that if Tywin's ultimate goal was to kill Tyrion, he had plenty of better opportunities to do it.
he doesn't want Tyrion to die because it's all about the family. Tyrion still is a Lannister. He can do something if he dies in battle, like when he had the Mountain Men, when in that battle in season 1 when he first meets Shay. If he dies then, that's good for the family. If
Absolutely.
someone hits him with an axe in the middle of the night while he's sleeping under Tywin's roof, not so good for the family.
So
If he
no,
dies a traitor with getting his head cut off for killing his nephew, not good for the family.
yeah, though people will
Dies on
probably
the
remember
wall
that for a
30
while.
years from now, better for the family.
Priceless.
Priceless.
So no more outbursts. The trial will be over soon. Just be cool, Tyrion. Just be cool. Chill. So let's call the next.
And he says, "Do you trust me?"
Yeah, do you trust me? Yeah.
And Tyrion shakes his head and says, "Yeah, I trust you, brother."
He's the only person he trusts. It's
Yeah.
maybe he trusts Bronn too, but I'd say Jaime and Bronn are the only two people Tyrion has left that he can trust, or that he feels like he can trust. So, so the next witness comes up, and yep, it's Shay. Of course it is. It's Shay.
Are you
And
sure you got her out of the city?
yep. But did she get taken back? Like, I'm sure we'll find this all out next week. But Tywin says, "State your name," and she swears in. She swears to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth. She was the handmaiden for Sansa and for Tyrion, and she knows that Tyrion's guilty. Him
Now, this is the last witness, correct?
is the last witness. Yep.
So now, were you kind of? There's no Bronn. Bronn, his right hand man for the last couple of years. They don't call to the witness stand at all.
No, and I'm wondering where Bronn is. That it's very curious.
And
That
we don't see him in the courtroom.
I honestly didn't think about that while I was watching the episode, but now you say that, it was very interesting that he was nowhere at the trial. Did he leave at the same time Pod left, thinking that we need to get out of here because anyone loyal to Tyrion needs to just get the hell out? Was he somewhat responsible for getting Shay to be brought back, or
Well, according to what we knew last, he was the last one to know where she went, what boat she got on, and where she went to. So that's a good possibility.
yeah, this is very peculiar right here. So she knows that that they planned this together. That she wanted revenge for everything that happened to her father, and he was happy to help because she hated because he hated his own family, hated his sister, hated his father, and he stole the poison for her, and she put it in the wine, and why would she know this? How would she know this? She would need to be closer. Oberon asked this. How do you know this? And she said, "Well, I was also his whore." His whore? He stole me. He sent a cutthroat into the tent and said, "You belong to me. You're going to fuck me."
That backs up Cersei's testimony about how Tyrion kept whores in the chamber of the king's hand as well. Which was unsubstantiated because nobody knew anything about that until this moment. And Shay basically backs up the fact that I was a whore and I was kept at the chamber of the king's hand, tower of the king's hand.
Yep, you say you said, "Fuck me like it's my last night in the world." And
He stole me is the words that she used.
yep, and said that to me, which part of this is true. And I think it was very interesting that the Red Viper raises his hand at this point because everyone laughs after she says that, and
Did he?
yeah, well, did he? It gets
Or did you?
And then she seems stifled by this a little bit. She's well, I did everything he wanted to. I let him kiss me where he wanted to kiss me. I touched him. I was his property. He could use me. I sat in his room when he was bored. I called him my lion because he wanted me to.
I let him put it where he wanted to put it.
I told you I was his and he was mine. And he goes, "Shay, please," and please, Shay. And she says,
"Just stop."
"Stop." And she says, she turns to him with cold eyes. "I'm a whore, remember?"
Sometimes White Fang comes back and bites you right in the ass.
Huh? All he wanted to do was have sex with Lady Stark, and she wouldn't let him in his bed. And she said, "I will do you if you do in King Joffrey." And he said, "Okay," because he's a little sex pot. And that's all he cares about. And yep, and that's it. And he interrupts her and says, "I wish to confess." This is probably it of all the great things that Peter Dinklage has done on this show. This monologue, this whole speech right here, might have been my favorite thing Peter Dinklage has ever done. It's
Well, this
so
this
true. Everything he says, it's so huge. It's huge. He flips, the switch turns. Tyrion doesn't give a shit anymore.
But it's pretty much the same thing that he says, only with a completely different attitude. We get the same scene from when he was in the Vale, and how he's telling whatever.
No, this is different. This is mean. What he
But
says to all these people, this is
mean,
cringe.
he's a lot more emotional about it. He's a little bit less smug about it. He's been through this once before, but essentially he gives the same speech. I am guilty. I'm guilty of so many horrible.
Joe, I think he takes it a step further because when he gets into the stuff with Tywin, where he's just like, "I'm guilty for being a dwarf. That's why I'm here. I'm
My
guilty
whole
for
life, I'm
my
guilty.
whole life." He's talking right. He's fighting back for all the years of oppression, all the years that he fought to protect the people in King's Landing from Stannis. When he gets into, "I should have let Stannis wipe you people out," he says. I should have let Stannis. I guess I'm guilty. I'm guilty for not letting Stannis kill each and every single one of you. I've been on trial my whole life. I did it.
Crowd.
I didn't kill Joffrey, but I wish I killed that vicious little bastard. Watching him die gave me more joy than 100 whores. I'd watch it again. I'd put that on replay in my DVD. I'd sit there and watch that on rinse and repeat. I could watch that over and over again. I have sex to watching Joffrey die. And he was like, "I'm the monster you wanted to be." I could watch him swallow that poison forever, and then it just gets into kind of where this is going. I demand it. Trial by combat.
Yep.
Episode ends. So who's going to be his champion? It's Bronn? Is Jaime going to fight for him?
Well, he asked for Jaime before, and Jaime was too far away, and Lysa demanded that he fight now, so Bronn stepped up, but we haven't seen Bronn in there.
Yeah, it's probably going to be Bronn. It's probably going to be Bronn. I don't want to get too far into that, but that's going to be really interesting stuff. Oh my God. Oh.
I know who it's probably going to be, but I'm not going to say because I've read the books.
Yeah, well, I'm kind of joking around too. I know who's going to be, but I want to keep my mouth shut. So let's read a couple questions we have. Thank you everyone that's been tuning into the episode live. We have a bunch of viewers live. Thank you very much. The next few minutes while we're answering a couple other email questions, if you guys have any questions, pop them into the chat room. Or if you listen to this video at any point in time, please comment away. We'll answer your questions or answer your comments during the week. And if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button and like it and tell us what you think. All that fun stuff. Please subscribe. So let's read a couple questions or comments. This episode made me sad. I know where this is going, and Tyrion is the only Lannister that actually has honor. Yep. Fair enough. I don't want to touch that any further.
I agree.
Cersei and Shae, I never liked the Lannisters, but I really hate them now. So we kind of might have felt this was coming because we did see that Cersei found out about Shae a few episodes ago. So we knew that something was going to maybe come from this, which was very interesting. I love Tyrion. He's a badass. Shae needs to open her eyes. I don't think Shae's going to be opening her eyes. I think Shae is really bitter and really angry. I think her paranoia set in once he got married, and any feelings she had has been so clouded by jealousy and craziness at this point that she would almost do anything. And
no, she didn't like being white-fanged. It hurt her a lot, and she's gonna bite him now.
And one last one. Apparently, everybody should be afraid of dragons. I don't want to know where they've been. Well, thank you. That's really good. Thank you, everyone, again for tuning in this week. We appreciate it. We will be back later this week with some more 24. Thank you to everyone that's been checking out the 24 cast as well. Please leave your questions, comments, anything else in the comment section below. or I mean, you just want to leave your comments, but you can leave your blood. If you leave your blood, we'll take that too. But no,
Don't forget to check out the
oh yeah, check out the website issuesprogram.com. You can see some of our pre-coverage for Pop Culture Expo that's coming that we'll be covering. We might get a chance to talk to Hodor. There's no promises, but we're gonna work on getting.
That's coming up in 2 weeks on Memorial Day weekend at the Shriners Auditorium.
We're at least gonna go to a party that probably that Hodor is going to be DJing at, spinning some house music. So there's at least that.
You see his tattoos? He's got those stars tattooed on his face. He's got a face tattoo.
I wonder if in the middle of like the house music he's spinning, if he just picks up the mic and just goes Hodor. I bet the whole place would go freaking crazy.
I bet he has a track that Hodor is just like Hodor, door, Hodor, door.
Like just a house track.
Door.
Hodor. See you later next week. We're gonna do this for another hour, guys. Talk to you guys later. Hodor.
Hodor, door.